Marhaba, and welcome to the Matrix Green Pill, where real people connect.
Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm Ilmarie Hutchison, and today I'm so excited to introduce a seasoned marketing manager, Daniyal Vadsaria. Daniyal has a proven track record of helping startup, entrepreneurs, and many more to navigate the digital landscape, providing innovative marketing techniques and technology solutions. But before I overshare about our guest, let's hear from Daniyal himself. Daniel, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm very excited and happy to be a part of this and being in the podcast with you.
Welcome. That's fantastic. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. Let's look back a bit, and can you tell our audience something about your background and how you got into marketing?
My background is talking from the educational side. I've done my bachelor's in advertising, and it was a rocky journey to even begin this because I initially wanted to be a pilot, but then due to my poor eyesight, I failed the test and I had to pivot and decide what I need to do in my education. So then I took a journey to pursuing BBA. I gave the interviews and I got selected as well, but due to some financial issues because my father passed away a while back at that time. So I couldn't afford that. Then I had to switch towards computer sciences. I applied there, but unfortunately that was not my thing. But then I was always more towards the creative side and to create something which leaves an impact. So I chose to pursue my education in advertising. That's how I started working in this industry because I first started working for advertisement agencies. And then I just loved how creativity worked with marketing, creating impact results. And so I then shifted to brand management side of it. And today I'm working as a marketing manager, business unit head at Anideos.
Thank you for that. First of all, let me say I am so sorry to hear about your father. Our condolences for that.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned that your early aspiration was to become a pilot. So was that from when you were a little kid? Was that always your dream?
It was always my dream because every time I was asked what I need to be, I always right out of the said, I want to become a pilot. And my father used to travel a lot. I always used to drop him to the airport. I was always very fascinated by seeing pilots all dressed up in their uniforms, heading towards the gates. And, this was something that I always envisioned myself to be in that uniform one day. And then I would be flying the plane. Every time, even now, when I see a plane flying off, I always get reminded of my dream that, oh shit, I couldn't do it.
What a disappointment. So you really had to take a new look at things. And as you say, you had to pivot into something else. So where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Karachi, Pakistan.
Okay. And then your education was also in Pakistan, or was that somewhere else?
No, I was initially planning to study abroad, but again, due to some circumstances, I had to change the plans and I studied in Pakistan.
Then you pivoted and you changed your degree, you changed your studying, and then you got into marketing. So tell us what it is that you do today. What does your day-to-day role involve?
My day-to-day role as a business unit head is to take care of the company's marketing and also make sure that we are on the right track with marketing our clients as well. Being a business unit head, I'm also responsible to make sure that all the avenues that can generate leads are working fine. And I have to train individuals in my team, my subordinates, to make sure that all the platforms that we can get the leads from are working fine. Second, the lead generation and then vetting the leads. So that's business development side of it. So I make sure that we are training constantly our business developers to make sure that they could prepare the leads so that, the salespeople, it's easier for them to convert the leads from leads to clients.
Anideos has been very successful in the digital marketing space. What do you think sets the company apart from its competitors?
Being very honest, it's the branding. And it's the loyalty towards their customer and being loyal to and being fair to what they're promising. So keeping their promise. If you search for Anideos, one thing that you'd see is the online presence that we have, which sets us completely apart from all our customers in the market. The second thing is the quality of work that we produce. And the third thing is happy clients that we have. So if you see so many reviews in every day, this is like a dream come true, to be very honest, for a company where every day you have a new review coming in on any of our platforms where people can leave a review about us. We have A-star, A+ rating on Triple B as well, which is very difficult to maintain. So these are a few achievements which sets us apart from our competitors.
Now, you also mentioned earlier that you develop and train your team. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in digital marketing?
To be very honest, when I was in university, what teachers used to teach us was not to the part, to be honest. And again, I was learning. I wasn't sure if I knew more than what my teachers were teaching, but I wasn't satisfied. So I always had this thing to learn on my own. Self-learning is something that has been with me for a long, long time because even though I'm a business unit head, I have proficiency of working on so many design softwares, video editing softwares, because I've always had that thing in me. That's the same thing that I continue now as well. And I constantly research, I study a lot of articles. I follow a lot of influential people who are in the industry and again, specializes in certain aspects. So AI now is something which is very in and everyone's speaking about it. But again, I follow the people who I can trust and who industry trusts as well. So based on that, I keep myself updated, reading blogs, following people, watching and listening to podcasts, watching videos, and even implementing a few things here and there by myself as well.
I think that's very important, self-study and being willing to constantly be looking and, as you say, reading, following people who are in the know so that you don't get left behind.
Exactly.
What do you consider to be the most important qualities for a successful marketer?
To be updated with the latest trends, because if you see, there are a lot of big companies who have been in the market, been the leaders, are now nowhere in the market. So you have to be adaptable. If you say as a marketeer that you know everything, you never know everything because industry keeps changing, technology keeps changing. In the last 10 years, we have seen so much of change, so much of transformation in the technology, in the digital space, that it's nearly impossible for anyone to say that they know everything. Like introduction of cryptocurrency, introduction of AI. There are a lot of different things where human element is now being replaced with artificial intelligence, or tools are making that easier and more effective, more efficient jobs can be done. So as a marketeer, there is something which is constant learning and that has to be there.
Do you think AI is going to replace your job?
There are a few factors. So recently in fact, just yesterday, I was watching a video of Neil Patel, one of the most influential people in the SEO space. And he quoted that AI is very great. It has done a great job. Writing content and everything that AI is now doing is marvelous. But there is something which needs human intervention in it. When you remove human from your content, your human approach from your content, Google is smart enough because it uses a criteria which is EEAT to assess a content and then rank it. Because a lot of producers are creating content, be it videos, be it audio content, or be it written content. But again, Google knows how to clear the noise. AI can be a help to writers, to help to designers, but again, they cannot completely replace them. Because again, if you want to use AI, you need to understand exactly what instructions need to be given to the AI to generate a content, to generate an image. Human cannot be replaced, but yes, it would be a great help to create even marvelous contents or images or anything.
So it's a tool to be used, but it's not going to replace what the human factor that's needed in the things that we do.
Exactly.
Very good. Very interesting insight. How do you measure the success of a marketing campaign?
There are different factors to it. Now, being very honest, marketing campaigns completely depends on the goal that we want to achieve. At times, the goal is just to be there in the market and be in the face. Sometimes the agenda is to drive more sales. And sometimes the agenda is to, just be there as a recall. So it completely depends on what sort of campaign do we have. But the general criteria is to see what the goal is. And then based on that, we create our entire campaign and for any successful campaign, I'll be honest with you, there's no one idea or one campaign or one ideology that you use to create and, achieve success. You have to have a plan A, plan B, and plan C, because you have to make sure that you understand your audience. In this day, understanding the audience is the most difficult part and is a challenge for all the marketeers. So we need to understand exactly what rings the bell and what works with the clients and what works with our target audience. So gauging the success is ultimately how closer you get to your goal. Goal can be different, but then for a successful campaign, you need to have multiple options that you have to run. As we have been practicing A/B testing, it has become a core of any successful marketing campaign now.
Right. So you start off with the objectives, and if you can reach those objectives, that is your measure of have we achieved what we set out to do.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example of a particularly challenging project that you've worked on and how you overcame any obstacles?
So there is a recent project which we did in our company, and that was for app development. Initially, what we had scoped out, it seemed pretty easy because a lot of times when we say subscription, it seems as easy as we go to Netflix online, purchase a subscription, and that's about it. But we don't exactly see how it works because you log into different devices, right? Be it Android, be it iOS, and your subscription works fine. Every data that you have used previously comes there. So for us to say subscription is very easy, but how it works in the background is a massive thing. And we have to make sure that your data and your subscription is working on all devices, be it online, be it offline, and be it anywhere geographically location. There are a few things where even though we use it on a daily basis, but we do not understand the impact and how it works actually. So this is a few challenge where in the current app development, it took us about 3 months just to figure out how subscription should work, because it's basically a step up for an app which is already out there, and they're creating a newer version of it with new features. Initially, they had their subscribers. Now they want all the subscribers to have their purchases restored in new device. And then they wanted an option where users should not go to restore their purchases just while on the login. They should get everything that they had previously. Sometimes technology, even though we use it every day, we don't understand how it can impact. The challenge here was to understand the depths of it. What we have learned from that is to take a deeper dive before stepping into any project or making any commitments, because then it becomes a rocky road where you hit that situation. So taking a deeper dive, understanding everything, and now we have successfully, completed that project. The client is very happy because again, they could see the effort that we are putting in. That's the project where we had to take a deeper dive. And again, being a business unit head, I'm also responsible to make sure the delivery of all the projects are in line and they're keeping up with their timelines. So this is one of our things that we have taken care of recently.
Pulling it off successfully, even though there were some challenges. And of course, the learning from that is that you have to be very careful when you are budgeting or scoping out the project, that you fully understand what's happening in the back end as well. Because as you say, if you don't take a deep dive initially, you could come up against obstacles you didn't foresee.
Exactly. And it happens. This was a hell of a job, and kudos to the entire team who worked on it, and the CTO himself, because he put in some really extra hours or extra efforts to clarify everything. Because again, for developers, it's something that you feed them how to get their job done. But again, on the technical side, it's the complication to make it simpler for them to absorb it, understand, and then actually start working on how to fix the issue.
And again, kudos to your company, right? For even when things go wrong, to have the whole team pull together and deliver what was promised, even though it wasn't probably as easy as you initially thought it might be.
No, this thing is what drives me and what makes me more passionate to take this company way forward, is that the team here is so well bounded together that nothing can break us. I can say that. If we face any challenge, it's not that we, let everything go and just take a escape plan, but rather we would sit together, join our heads, and see how we can get out of this situation the best possible way by delivering the project, by getting the situation handled. So this is something which flows throughout the company, from the leadership to the even latest joined employee, because from day one, the environment is very welcoming. The learning curve is great. So they all understand exactly what's the goal that we are all running after.
That's excellent to hear. A good environment, a good culture makes all the difference, especially when you run into obstacles. Makes absolutely a huge difference in the final outcome. Now, you mentioned earlier, we spoke a little bit about AI and some new technologies. What role do you think technology will play in the future of marketing?
Marketing has changed a lot. Initially, it was way too much dependent on human, and also it was not towards automation. So everything had to be done by ourselves. But then came automation, which was the first transformation for marketing. Now, automation and automation tools, so, posting schedulers and stuff like that, made our jobs easier. And then we got tools such as SEMrush, Ahref to understand exactly where the content gap is. So instead of just hitting the arrow in the dark, now we have more focused approach. We understand exactly what needs to be done. So our jobs have become easier. But now with the induction of AI and how it's supporting marketing, it has become way more easier. Now, even creating content has become way easier. So when I said that, You can create content, you can write blogs over AI, or you can create images with AI. So that's something that makes our job easier. To be very honest, driving the concept is most difficult part. But if you know exactly what's in your head and maybe you can just write it down, AI would do the magic and create the final product for you. So when you're writing the content, you can give AI the guidelines and you get your blog produced. What you do next is, instead of a person writing the blog from scratch, you give them to proofread and make changes and make it more human. So that saves time. And for designing aspect, a lot of times we have a concept, but it's taking much longer for us to bring it into a picture. But when you feed it into an AI, you give them the right instructions, it creates images for you in seconds, literally. And that's something which has speed up marketing process. And we are working on a campaign. Initially, if it would take about a week, now you can get done with it in 2 days as well. So that's the benefit of AI that we have been reaping so far.
Right. So we can definitely benefit from these new tools that's available to us, or the new technologies that's available to us. What do you think are the biggest challenges for marketers of the future, and what advice would you give them?
The challenge here is that marketing has now become so fast paced that for new marketers, it's very difficult to get onto that pace and work on that fast level. Because again, all companies somewhere, somehow are using AI. Their processes and their thinking process, their execution process has now speed up. So initially we heard always a statement, good things take time. But now that's not the situation. Good things don't take time because you have so many tools, so many automation. And now with the AI, everything can be done so fast that marketing has become so fast paced. So now for marketers, what I would suggest is to work on their strategies. That's the one thing that they have control over. All of their tools would make your job easier to help you get to the final product. But if your strategy is not correct, so that's where the problem lies. Now, if you say the content wasn't good enough, the images weren't good enough, they weren't connecting with the people, then your campaign wasn't successful because you didn't create multiple phases of it. It wasn't, prepared for A/B testing. You did not have multiple things to run and see what works best with the audience. So now for the marketers, it's most important to work on their strategies, and that should be enough to create a successful campaign. Automation tools would definitely make the job easier, but strategy is the king now.
Very insightful feedback there. So know how to think strategically and how to plan strategically, because automation tools can't do that for us. So they can lighten our load in some things, but they're not going to take over everything. And being able to be strategic is key. I think that's very valuable advice. Thank you so much for sharing your understanding and your experience with us and your tips for marketers. I appreciate that very much. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I'll ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. What is your most used creative or marketing tool?
I use Copy AI. That's for creating content.
Okay. What do you do when you don't feel creative?
I take off. I engage myself into doing something creative, which makes me happy because then I can, rejuvenate and get back to work. So no work at that time.
Just step away from it completely and then come back with a fresh mind.
Exactly.
What is your most productive time of day?
Oh, the busiest day. If you pile me up with work, I'd be stepping out very happy. I like to be busy. I like to create most of my hours. So when I see how many tasks I have completed in a day, that's the best thing. But if you ask for a productive hour, I cannot really answer that because I like to be busy every time while I'm in the office.
Okay, because some people are more productive, they're morning people, and some people are more productive in the evening when their brain comes alive. It doesn't matter to you whether it's morning or evening?
No, it doesn't really matter for me because if I'm engaged into something, and one thing that drives me is a challenge. If I ever encounter a challenge, it's like a war for me and I have to win it. So no matter it's day, it's night, I'll be on it and on top of it to get it done.
What is your most used social media channel?
Honestly, I used Instagram a lot and that's for refreshing me.
What is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you are?
Now, that's a difficult question because being a workaholic, mostly I spend time working or I spend time sleeping.
Okay, so you don't have any rituals or any something that no matter how busy, no matter how much work there is, there's this one thing that you do that to either take care of yourself or family.
One thing I make sure is to spend some time with my wife because again, we have very different schedules. She works in the daytime. I work in the nights because I have to match with the US audience time. So we hardly get time for each other. So I make sure that I have at least 1 hour or maybe 2 hours to spend together, discuss about the day, what we have done so far, and what needs to be done, and just for our just normal couple time as well. So that's something that I make sure that I have at least 1 hour a day to spend with my wife.
Excellent. I think that's very nice. I'm sure she appreciates that as well. Well, that comes to the end of our game show. So that was easy enough. Thank you for playing along. Now, before we wrap up, we would like to do our green pill moment. What green pill advice would you give to your younger self?
Honestly, I would give an advice to myself would be to take more risks to become an entrepreneur. Because the more time you spend working for other people, you start progressing in your career. With that time, you have so much to lose. Because now, when I think of being an entrepreneur, to be very honest, I have so many things achieved so far. I am on a certain grade where taking this leap to start something of my own, I have so much to lose because then you have certain achievements, you have certain current payroll, your package, your everything, your responsibilities. It makes you difficult because then you're more grounded. Your feet are more into the ground to take that leap. So it's difficult. But in the early stages, take that leap and do something for your own because that's the perfect time where you have nothing to lose or very little to lose. So then the leap is much easier. You're always focused towards what needs to be done instead regretting on I could have done that. If I wouldn't take this leap, I would be making so and so money. I would be in a certain position. But then if you make your entrepreneurial journey start initially in the early phases, you can be a lot successful. And that's why we see a lot of young entrepreneurs these days, because before stepping into the market, before going into the grind, making something from their experiences, they just begin with their entrepreneurial journey and create something for themselves.
I think that's very good advice. And what I hear you saying is that as a young person, you should be willing to take risks. Don't play it safe. Take the risk, get out there and be your own boss if you possibly can.
Exactly. There is no other beauty than becoming your own boss because now people are literally striving for that. They want to become their own bosses, but they are so into the market and they cannot really do that. And whenever they think of it, they always see what they have to lose and they have a lot of to lose. When you're young, you have that energy, you have that appetite to absorb that risk, the willingness and strength to take over any challenge that comes your way. I would advise my younger self to take all the risks and be your own boss.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story and your journey with us. It's absolutely inspiring, and I'm sure our audience will be enjoying this conversation as much as I have. Before we say goodbye, could you please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you?
They can find me easiest on LinkedIn. It's normal URL with Daniyal Vadsaria. You can just type that in and you'd see my profile. And I'm mostly updated on LinkedIn. I push my updates on LinkedIn as well. And if you want to reach out to me on a professional level, you can always email me at Danial, DANIYAL, @Anideos, ANIDEOS.com.
Very good. Thank you very much. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all the very best, and I'll also be following your journey.
Thank you so much for that, and it was a great time, and I feel very good being on the show with you. So yeah, thank you so much for how you've pulled this off, and yeah, I wish you guys the best as well. More success to you, and yeah, thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.